So now that we're online with the gas flow run, we're going to go ahead and add the two liquid flow runs. So the liquid flow run and the water flow run. So I can hit update readings again to get off of that. You notice I only have the one gas run, so I have to go into configuration, setup, and change it to have 3 runs. You'll notice 2 more runs get created here. So I'm going to click on run 2 and call this liquid run 1. Make sure it's a liquid run. I'm going to use volume pulses as well as metric 4. I use metric 1 for gas and metric 4 for liquids typically. Leave everything else as is. Next I'll go into the volume tab. So in the new SCADAPacks, X70 SCADAPacks, instead of using a Modbus address to link to the database, it will be a name. So I'm just going to leave it as the default. Make sure it's a database object. Density, I'm going to do the same thing, database object, link it there. I'm going to go 0 to 1100 for the density, 0 in full scale. Water cut, I'm just going to infer it off the density. So I'm going to say that my oil is 650 and water is 1000. Static pressure, I'm just going to use sensor 1 off the multivariable for gas run 1. Same with temperature, just for ease of this demo. Contract, metric 4 again, so it's the same as the input units. The rollover is going to be at 8. And then since I switched the contract units, you want to hit standard conditions again. So this brings us back to standard. I'm going to pick flow weighted for this as well. Liquid tab, you could pick your product type. I'm just going to change this water volume correction. If you do know your produced water density of 15 degrees, you can put it in here. But if you don't, just use API 11.4.1 for this. And then I'm not going to use any of the other features here. And I'm going to move to the batch well test tab. I'm going to give this a QTR identifier of liquid run 1. And I'm going to enable it because we're going to use this later on. I'm just going to leave it as the default here as well and select OK. I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing for run 3, but for a water run. So we'll call this water run 1. It's obviously water. Volume pulses just like the liquid run. Metric 4, because metric 1 we use for gas. Leave all the rest of the stuff as is. The volume tab, we're going to use a database object. Leave it as the default and we'll create it in Remote Connect later on. Temperature, I'm just going to use the multivariables temperature as well for this. The contract, metric 4, because metric 1's for gas. It's going to be flow weighted and the rollover is going to be at 8. I'm also going to set this back to base conditions because I changed the contract units here as well. Go to the water tab, same thing here. I'm just going to use water according to API 11.4.1. And then I'm going to go in the batch well test tab. I'm going to call this water run 1. It's just a string that you can add to the well testing or the batch functionality. And I'm going to enable it, leave it as the default and hit OK. One thing that we didn't do in the previous video was set up the batch functionality in the gas run. So we're going to do that as well. So we'll call this gas run 1. We're just going to enable it, hit OK. Now that all this is set up, we could go and hit the right configuration button. So in this SCADAPack, you could pick all config. On the older SCADAPacks, you want to be careful about this and only write the flow run and sensor config. But in the X70 SCADAPacks, you could only write the flow run and sensor config. So just click all configuration. Hit yes. Sensor 1's still not plugged in, so we're fine with that. So now we can move between flow run 1, 2, and 3 here. We'll go into flow run 2. You could hit update readings, but let's go and force it first. So let's force some values in there. We'll pick run 2, go next. force maybe 5 pulses per second. The density, we'll just pretend it's set to 750. Just make up a number between 1,000 and 650. And then the water cut, we'll just leave. Well, you could force this, but this is inferred off the density, so we're just going to leave it as no change and hit finish. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to hit force inputs again. We're going to change the flow run 3, which is our water run. Fixed value. Maybe we'll go, maybe it's a bit more water. We'll go 6 pulses per second. Hit finish. And then we could hit update readings here. So like we saw before, gas run 1, it's still forced, still calculating. As well as run 2, you should be able to see the same thing. You can see it's forced here. You can see that it's calculating. As well as run 3. So the next video I'll show you how to use the batch functionality. But thanks for watching this one. Thanks.